Good evening. My question is pertaining to my 5-year-old son. He will not listen to me.
Good.
To any... No women. Men, a little better. A teacher told me, she goes, can you get him to listen to me? I say, he won't listen to me. What are you talking about? And
who is he listening to?
I guess his own head, because he told me, he said, I live my life my way and you do things sort of your way. He said, this is way, he said.
He must be listening to us.
Yes. And then he'll say, well, you said, Abraham said. He said, I want to have fun. So the teacher said to him, she said, well, you don't listen to me, Joseph, because you don't understand or you don't want to. He said, I don't want to. So she called me in again. She said, well, he put a hole in this paper. He didn't want to do it, but then the next day he wanted to do it, so he did it. And I said, Joseph, you can't do that. You can vibrate with what you want when you get in your house, but you're mine now, so you got to vibrate with me. He said, nah. So this is the back and forth, the pulling teeth, just the listening part. And then my mother gets all crazy. Oh, you should spank him. You should do this. You should do that. It didn't kill me. It didn't kill you. Oh,
Well, here's the thing. As Joseph is doing pretty much what he wants to do, if he could maintain that, when we visit with him 15 or 20 years from now, and he is experiencing not only outrageous success in all areas of his life, but he is one of the most joyful people we've ever met, and we say, Joseph, what is your secret? And he would say, I had a driving influence coming forth from within that I listened to louder than everybody else put together. Oh, my mother tried. Yes, she did try. She even threatened to throw me out of the house. But I did not let anything dissuade me from my own guidance system. Now, we're playing with you a little bit, but it is mothers like you that have left so many of you as the walking wounded that you are. In other words, so many of you are not trusting your own guidance because you've yielded to the guidance of so many others who are ill-equipped to really guide you, you see. And when you think about it, that teacher is guiding Joseph so that she'll get from him what she wants, and you're guiding him so that you'll get what you want. And who gets to guide him so that he will get what he wants? And that's the point that he's trying to make with everyone, you see. And we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we're on his side.
But what about his age? I mean, isn't he kind of young to be, you know what? I just don't want to be an adult that doesn't listen to anyone, and then, it could...
Oh, well, then our purposes are crossed, because we want him to be an adult that doesn't listen to anyone. We want all of you to be adults who are not so controverted by what everybody else thinks that you contradict your own vibration and disallow what you really want. We know what you're getting at, and here's what we would do. So here you have this little one who is rather clear about who he is, still remembering, and who is throwing some of what you're trying to teach him back at you, and who is giving you some grief here and there by not conforming. So as you think about him and the action journey that he's taking, you have a lot of options here. In other words, you can watch it and be upset about it, or you can watch it and get into alignment with it. So tell us some of the positive aspects that you feel of him being sort of self-directed. Is there any advantage at all in that?
Yes, he has his own mind, and he's not a conformist. Neither was I when I was his age.
Yes.
He tells you just how he feels, so you know where he's coming from.
Yes.
He's not a phony person.
Yes.
I think that in some ways it will help him.
But beyond that, can you feel from what you've heard today that there's tremendous value in making up your mind and not wavering?
Yes.
And so, do you really want him to be someone who makes up his mind and doesn't waver unless somebody else that's bigger and stronger and has more influence can get in his face and make him change his mind? In other words, are you wanting to teach him disempowerment or self-empowerment?
I want him to be self-empowered.
And so the only time that it conflicts with you is when his self-empowerment disagrees with your idea of what he should do?
When a teacher calls me. I just don't want to be a parent that's steady in the office because he won't do what they want.
But can you have it both ways? And this is the thing that we really want to put out to you. Can you have a child that is self-empowered, who really knows who he is, and a child that kowtows to what everybody else wants at the same time?
No.
And how do you help him define who he should listen to and who she shouldn't? In other words, do you want everyone who stands in the role of teacher to be someone who gets his undivided attention? Because if that's the case, then don't you want to scrutinize the teachers? Don't you want to find out what they're trying to motivate him to? Don't you want to find out who they are and what their real intent is? In other words, wouldn't you like to know if they're leaning him toward voting Democrat, or leaning him toward voting Republic, or leading him toward being a Christian, or leading him toward, wouldn't you like to know what their inner motivation is? And wouldn't it be really hard for you to sort all of that out? Wouldn't you rather just say, Joseph, you are someone who knows your own mind, who is tuned into pure positive energy, and I trust that you're going to be able to sort this out. And I'm going to leave you to your relationships with all of these people. I'm not going to get in the way and try to side with them. Or I'm not going to get in the way even and try to side with you. I'm going to give you the opportunity that all of us had when we were born, of sifting through your experience, letting the experience help you to define what you want, and then listening to your own guidance to get you toward what you want. Do you think he would choose failure? Do you think he would choose being unkind? You never see that, do you? Do you think he would choose being lazy? You don't see that either. In other words, you've seen no evidence of anything other than brilliance in this child, and yet you are afraid to let him guide himself. And we think it is because for a long time, adults have believed that they are the wise ones who know the ways of this world, and that if they don't guide their children, that their children then will go astray. And we want you to understand how backwards that thinking is, because these are genius creators who have just arrived from non-physical, who are feeling empowered. And if they would be left to their own devices, they would not go astray. They would maintain worthiness. They would maintain their feeling of autonomy. They would maintain their feeling of well-being. They would thrive unless it was taught otherwise to them. In other words, if others don't do something to change their vibration, they are in a vibration of thriving, you see. And don't you see evidence of that? That's what he came forth to remind you. Don't you see evidence mostly of thriving and feeling good? Jerry and Esther had the good fortune of meeting someone who founded a school, the Sudbury School in Massachusetts. And the premise of the school is no one learns anything really unless they have a sincere desire to learn it. And so the premise of the school is we don't teach you just for the sake of teaching. If you want to learn something and you express your desire to us, we will do everything we can to assist you in learning. But no one, no teacher, no faculty member is even allowed, much less encouraged, to go to little Joseph and say, wouldn't you like to read this, or wouldn't you like to learn about this? It's all left to the desire of the child. And the reason that Jerry and Esther, that they are so excited about it, is because it is the basis of what Abraham teaches, that unless you are asking, then there is no answering that comes forth. And when you are asking, the answering is always coming forth, you see. And so Joseph is trying to help you and his teachers remember that, first of all, he gets to choose, and that whatever he chooses will come to him. He is not worried about not towing the line and ending up in a place of not knowing anything. You might be, and his teacher might be, but he's not worried about that. He's still in that place of remembering that if he wants it, the universe is going to deliver it. And he frankly cannot figure out what all of the fuss is about. Isn't that what he keeps saying to you over and over again?
Yep.
Why are you making a big deal out of this? I'm all right. I'm doing all right, you see. It would be like meeting someone who was born clear-minded and healthy. But that person is born into a community where most everybody limps for whatever reason. And then them making fun of the way he walks because he is not yet limping. And him saying, hey, I know you're all limping and seem to be liking it, but I don't feel like limping and don't seem to need to. And they all say, limping is what we do here. Learn to limp. And he says, I don't feel like limping. And so they just club him in the knee. And then he limps along, and then they all say, good. Good, Joseph. We're not exaggerating that. That is a perfect analogy, you see. And so what he is saying to all of you is, I don't feel like limping.
Thank you.
Don't worry about him. And don't worry about what the teachers think about him. Now, you have an emotional journey to take, though, don't you? Because think about it. So he is who he is. And do you remember how much trouble you got into? You were just like him. And your mother took a lot of trouble to try to make you different. Did it work? So it just brought you grief and her grief. Mm-hmm. But it did not change your stubbornness, did it? So you're not really eager to do that with Joseph. And so what choice do you have as you see him as this independent genius creator that he is? What choices do you have? Do you think that you could humiliate him into conformity? No, and wouldn't want to. Do you think you could punish him into conformity? Didn't work with you. So what are your choices? Do you think that you can, in terms of an action journey, make him be different than he was born to be? You can you? So you have some options here. You have this little rascal who is tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And you can look for reasons to feel good about it or look for reasons to feel bad about it. The emotional journey that you want to take, we don't think is about changing him because we think, like us, you like him pretty much just like he is. We think your problem is with the school system that doesn't understand what you understand or what Abraham understands or what Joseph understands. So would you say that your emotional journey is about feeling better about their ignorance?
Probably.
Is it feeling better about their ignorance? Or, oh, we're really getting here somewhere. Is it about finding a way to get them to approve of you when you have a son like Joseph? Ooh, that's big, isn't it? So, here I've got this son who behaves in a non-conforming way. Brilliant, magnificent being. Do you want him to be different than that? Would you like him to be afraid? Would you like him to kowtow? Would you like him to do what they want him to do? Do you like him being independent? So, the action journey, in terms of how Joseph is, you don't want to change. But how you feel about how they feel about Joseph, you do want to change. So, you've got some choices. They're probably going to continue to disapprove of him. And you can't make him behave in an approving way. So, your choice is they can disapprove of him and you can be all right with it, or they can disapprove of him and you can be not all right with it. Which would feel better to you?
To be all right with it.
So now, offer some words toward that end. I want to find a way to be all right, even when they're not all right with how Joseph is. Didn't we get to it? So, ramble a little bit and see if you can find some relief in that.
I don't want to hear them say anything to me when I walk in the door.
All right, that's making it worse.
I just want to pick them up from school and leave. So I have to see them.
Not helping.
I want to stay active in the school like I've been doing.
I like my role in school.
So,
I'd like to be able to
yeah.
influence them a little bit. I'd like them to understand the creative geniuses that they've got. I'd like them to understand that school is not jail. School's an environment where creativity can be expressed. And it should be able to be expressed in lots of different ways. And I would like to be able to help foster the creativity, not the conformity, in these kids. And born to me is a magnificently creative child that is lighting a fire within me to want to do that. And this could be fun. That felt better. You didn't say it, but it felt better when you heard it. In other words, make yourself feel better. What's the goal? To feel better about how they feel about Joseph, who will not change. In other words, have you given up on the action journey? You better, because you can't change him, so he's going to be like he is and you can like it, or he can be like he is and you cannot like it. And which do you think's better for you and which do you think's better for him? Do you know that the magnificent genius creators of your world, every one of them without exception was like Joseph when they were born and just never got over it? In other words, they didn't yield. They allowed their creative juices to continue to flow. Isn't that what you really want for him?
Yep.
And does a teacher that doesn't understand that, do you want that teacher to get in the way of that?
No.
So, do you want to feel good about the teacher's misunderstanding, or do you want to feel bad about the teacher's misunderstanding?